All right.
This week's video is another two-parter. We're doing the year 2009 and we split it into two pieces.
Yeah, we split into two pieces because again we discovered 2009 was a pretty packed year. So in the first half we will look maybe at the All-Irelands and the King and Queen of the Roads. And in the second part we will look more at the more of an Ulster focus because a lot of things happened in relation to Ulster bowlers in 2009.
This is a more recent year than we've been doing all along.
Yeah, we've had a lot of different ones, but yeah, this is a more recent year. This is 2009, the year that Barack Obama was inaugurated as President of the United States. And
I believe in 2009 you were a line in your own report, the All-Ireland.
I was, unfortunately. So I was at the All-Ireland intermediate final at Sally's Cross between Martin Toll and Willie O'Donovan.
Yeah.
And maybe I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been, or chatting to somebody. But in any case, well, I was standing well in the grass and all the rest. But nonetheless, one of Martin Toll's balls hit me on the foot. I was wearing sandals, so I got a pretty nasty injury.
I remember this, yeah.
I was lucky that Connie Moylan was at hand to bring me into a house, and Tom O'Callaghan was there, and he used the hose and he hosed it, and Connie took a picture, of course. And Pat O'Gorman, friend and relative, happened to be there, and he was able to drive my car home. And when I went to the hospital, there was a bowler to look after me as well, and that was Con Kelleher's daughter from Kilcorny.
Yeah.
She was the nurse on duty, so when I had to explain what happened, she knew exactly what the story was. Yeah.
Was it a good final apart from that?
Yeah, it was a good final. It was a great final. Martin Toll, a top class player. Willie O'Donovan, a really good player. And in the end, I think it kind of hinged on the last few shots. And Willie O'Donovan, I think, got a very big second last bowl, which really put him back into a good position. And although Martin Toll got a good last shot, Willie O'Donovan beat it very well. So. Yeah, it was a big win for Willie O'Donovan, yeah.
And what about the Munster final in 2009?
Yeah, the Munster final, 2009. Willie O'Donovan won that as well, obviously. But of course, he was representing Mayo, interestingly. Although he's not originally from Mayo, he's from Churchtown South in East Cork. But in 1991, the Ballincurry club, we were keen to make contact again with Mayo bowlers because we knew about the bowling in Mayo, but contact hadn't been lost really between Cork and Mayo, and there wasn't any social media and so on and so forth. So we made it our business to make contact.
Yeah.
And I think Faulkner White's sister, who's chairperson of the Ballincurry club, I think his sister lives up there or whatever. So I think he was able to help a bit. But in any case, I think we ended up writing to the parish priest.
Yeah.
And the parish priest made contact with the bowlers, and one way or the other we made contact, and we arrived up in September of 1991, and we were presented with this little trophy. So it was from the Knockruski and Langhill Bowling Club to Cork bowlers on your visit to Mayo, the 8th of the 9th, 91.
Very nice.
And when we got up there, we went up in a little minibus. And Willie O'Donovan, although he wasn't a member of our club as such, but he came with us. And he got out of the bus, and I'll never forget, he got a bowl in his hand, and he just shook himself off, and he caught the bowl and he threw it right down around the corner. Kit Hogue bowler, massive shot, and it stunned the people from Mayo. Said, "Whoa, this is this is something special." And I think Willie fell in love with Mayo, and he came back with us on the bus, but he didn't come back for long, I think.
Yeah.
He moved back up there, and he's living there since. Yeah.
And if we go back to 2009.
Yeah, exactly. And the Munster final was an amazing final, and this involved Willie O'Donovan against James O'Donovan, and James O'Donovan, now top senior player. He got to the Munster final, and last week we were talking about Declan O'Donovan. Yeah. This is James, his son. So this is the next generation, and that was a super score, a really top class, high energy score, you know, because I suppose both players, you know, are really, really competitive, and they have, you know, their camps are really, really competitive. So it was a really fantastic score up in Sally's Cross. I remember it well. And James was in control for a lot of that score, and Willie took the lead. I think he only took the lead right towards the end, and I remember well the last shots, because Willie must have been high in ball for the last shot. Well, he threw the longest bowl.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. The road was lovely and smooth there, but I remember it went way down and past the line and way around the corner. Oh my God, it was an impossible shot to beat. Yeah. And there's no way that James could. Well, I suppose there is some chance of him beating it, but I mean, it was just one of those shots in 1,000. So that the score went to Willie on that occasion.
And what about the Junior A final 2009?
Yeah, the Junior A final, again, this was won by Johnny O'Driscoll, and he beat Malachy Lappin, and we mentioned the Lappins as well last week, as it happens. And again, Malachy Lappin was winning that score for a long ways, but my recollection of it is that Johnny O'Driscoll finished with 4 super shots, and I think in the end he just he had to beat a big last shot from Malachy Lappin, but he didn't beat it by a lot, you know, maybe 20-30 meters. So that was a good contest as well. And the Junior A final, actually, the Munster Junior A final, I remember it well. You know, what I remember so well about it is I think one of the most outstanding places in the world actually is when you're coming from Clonakilty towards Rosscarbery, and you come to the crest of the hill before you go into Rosscarbery, and you can see right down over the causeway and down, you know, like, what an amazing place. And I went to the Munster Junior A final, and I brought Tony Costello, who you know quite well, from Killorglin. And it was probably Tony's first time being in Rosscarbery. But like, I remember when we got there, he said, wow, it was a beautiful summer's evening, and it was great. And it's a very historic road in Rosscarbery as well. And it was against Wayne Callan from the city, a really, really good player. And I think the turning point in that score, if my memory serves me correctly, was coming up to the no play line before the cross. I think Wayne Callan missed the no play line, and Johnny O'Driscoll beat it. And then from the second cross, and which Pat O'Sullivan calls the Quakers cross on, Johnny O'Driscoll was well in control, you know, and he won it easily.
Nice. I believe you wanted to talk about the boys under 14s, boys under 12s from this year as well.
Oh yeah, that was too terrible. That was a terrible rain in Sally's Cross for those. But I suppose there's just 2 little things, I suppose, of note, is that Andrew O'Callaghan won the under 14 boys, and Andrew O'Callaghan would have been a local guy, and his father's Andy O'Callaghan, the famous player, so he was in his own region, so that was a big thing for the region. And the second one was Shane Shannon won the under 12, and he beat David Devlin. And I suppose at the time people didn't know much about David Devlin, but David Devlin went on to win, I think, 3 or 4 All-Ireland underage titles in the following years. I think he won 3. He won under 18, 16 and 14. I think he won all of those All-Irelands. So that was a big win for Shane Shannon. Of course, Shane Shannon is a big player now as well, but you know, that was a bigger win, I suppose, maybe than people realised at the time, and they had to contend with terrible weather conditions and rain on the road and everything. It was really difficult for little lads, you know. Yeah,
well, we've had a lot of recurring characters in 2009. So
yeah, we have.
What I must ask you every week: what was Greta doing in 2009?
Well, believe it or not, Greta had a piece of history in 2009 as well. And maybe it's a piece of history most people don't realise, but we established a competition in Ballincurrig for the Queen of the Roads called the Greta Cormacan Cup, and that was in honour really of Greta and her great achievements. But as it happened, in 2009, she reached the Greta Cormacan Cup final herself, It was played in Ballincorrig, and it was played against a really iconic women's sports star called Juliet Murphy, famous captain of the ladies football team and All-Ireland winner herself at bowling. And you know, I mean, one of those people everybody knows to do sports. So like, it was a really, really exciting final between two really, really important women's sports stars. And Greta seemed to have the upper hand in that one, but she was too tight on the right hand side with her shot past Gary's, and then Juliet got a massive second last ball right down top of the line, and that, you know, that really put it back in the score. And although her last shot wasn't huge, there's a kind of an iron gate after the line in Ballincorrig, and once you reach the iron gate, anything can happen. Although it looks simple, she did reach the iron gate, and Greta was too tight on the left hand side, and Juliet won. So that was it was interesting to have those two really, really iconic characters playing there as well.
Yeah. How did Juliet do in the Queen of the Roads?
Yeah, Juliet did well in the Queen of the Roads. She was in a three-hand semi-final against Geraldine Daly, who was the Munster champion. And Geraldine Daly, that was her second year being Munster champion, actually 2 years in a row, and she'd lost 2 All-Irelands actually to Dervla Toll, who was a sister of Michael Toll's. And so Juliet and Geraldine Daly were in the one semi-final against a newcomer, a little known character, who was just 18 years of age, I think, and had done well in the European Championships the year before in the underage section. And this player was called Silke Tulk. Now, Silke Tulk, that was her kind of inaugural Queen of the Roads. Well, it was her inaugural Queen of the Roads. And many people in Ireland probably didn't know who she was, but everybody in Ireland knows who she is now. And she's this towering figure, and she played Geraldine and Juliet in the semi-final. And in actual fact, both Juliet and Geraldine were in positions to win that semi-final, and they didn't. And Silke became the very first person from the Netherlands to win a score in Ballincorrig in that semi-final. Oh, yeah. And then in the final, she played against Maria Noonan from North Cork, and Maria Noonan was the Queen of the Roads. I think she was the reigning champion at the time, and my God, she was brilliant in the final. Maria Noonan bowled very, very well against her. She was down around the big corner in 5 shots, which is really good going, but Maria Noonan was still in the contest. Yeah. And she was still in the contest down as far as Haggerty's. You know, we're getting right into the closing stages. But I remember Silke played a ball from Haggerty's and went way down to what we would call Bob's Wall, right down to the creamery. Huge ball, and that was the end of it. But I'll never forget, Maria Noonan conceded there at the creamery, and my God, the Dutch went completely crazy. Yeah. It was orange everywhere, and there was cheering and shouting, and it just was incredible. You know, it was such a big thing for them, you know, to bring over this rising young star and to, you know, do something that nobody had done in Ballincorrig for the Dutch, to win the Queen of the Roads. So that was a big occasion. Yeah.
Thank you. I'd say that's all we have time for in this video.
Yeah.
So any loose ends we'll get to in the next one, and we hope you enjoy it. And if you suggested a year to us and we haven't done it yet, rest assured we're getting through them one by one. So thank you, Seamus.
Yeah.